What a great place to start over here in our Red Angus show. Certainly my honor and privilege to be back with you here today. Looking forward to a great day of great females. I think you can tell right off the bat, it's probably not going to matter if you have the biggest, highest performing calf that comes in here. I can sure read maturity pattern, and that's what I like about these two that come out here. I read these cattle down the line. Yeah, right now the heifer out front has a little more performance, but these cattle are cut from the same cloth. I love the maturity pattern. I love the way these cattle are up-headed. Their neck ties into the top of their shoulder. They're in the right rig. They haven't been pushed too hard. You're not gonna have to hold these cattle back. They're long neck. They're laid in neat through their shoulder. This class winner, if I'm gonna pick on her a little bit, you'd like to open her up through that heart and forerib just a bit. But boy, that's an attractive, nicely presented female that's so good hip. She's good enough getting out of that front end and excellent off that hind wheel. The heifer that comes in behind her, boy, I like to build on this one. I realize she's giving away some performance out here, but in the real world, this one's plenty big enough for a May heifer calf, and boy, this one's built ultra good. I love the way her neck comes out of her shoulder. She's good at the ground. You sit in behind her. She's ample in terms of shape. I just think this one has a world of future in front of her, really late mature and really high-quality female. The one that comes out next, certainly high-performing. That in 3 and 4, a female that's big body, deep rib, bold sprung, has a world of shape and dimension. I guess for me, this one's neck doesn't come out of her shoulder quite as well. You can see her fighting that halter when she tries to hold it up. Just a little more rugged, just a little. I'd like to change her maturity pattern, just not as late maturing. Appreciate the performance, just like to hold her back a little. Heifer that comes out next, love the body in this one. Soft center, deep ribbed, easy doing. Just like to stretch her out, maybe lean her up just a bit at this juncture of her development compared to those that go out in front of her. But sure, I have to appreciate the rib and the doability that female possesses. Wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide this July heifer up a little bit. She's the youngest one in the class by far. Makes her a little hard to read. I guess to me, she gets a little opened up on that front end, a little twisty on those front feet. But when you set her in motion, she's certainly acceptable. And boy, she's an attractive front-end, long-bodied female that has a lot of future in front of her. Young lady's heifer that comes out next, again, a really deep-bodied one. Wants to drop those pins a bit as she goes compared to some of those out in front of her. But when you get her at the stand, she has a nice look. She's flexible. She's sound. She's got some future. Heifer that comes out next, really attractive at the stand, lays in neat through the shoulder. At the stand end, when you set her in motion, she wants to get roaching pretty good in the center of that back. You soften that top line up a little bit. I wouldn't argue if you wanted to move her up a couple slots. Heifer that comes out next, a lot of performance, a lot of length. Just like to open her up underneath, give her a little more skeletal width, a little more natural rib and doability. Heifer that comes out next, a moderate frame female that's good in terms of her lines and certainly good down in there at the ground. Just like to give her a little more performance. And then the one that rounds out the class. Again, appreciate her for the length through her front end and the femininity she possesses. Just like to power her up and give a little more performance today.
Okay. Well, we have the results back over in Ring 2 from Class 21 in your Lim Flex show. First place went to back number 7351, TASF GVAF Hina, exhibited by Carter Cornegie of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Second place went to back number 7353, TASF High Class 462 HET, exhibited by Claire Kessler of Crawfordsville, Indiana. Third place went to back number 7283, SHSK Georgia Time 211 HET, exhibited by Peyton Grimes of Sylvester, Georgia. Fourth place went to back number 7355, CHR Half Pint 140H, exhibited by Olivia Robbins of Chattanooga, Oklahoma. Fifth place went to back number 7356, Auto Haven ET, exhibited by Dylan Young, Grove, Oklahoma. Sixth place went back number 7284, exhibited by Peyton Cole. Seventh place, back number 7285, Tyra Meyer. Eighth place, back number 7354, Kendall Spriggs. And ninth place, back number 7352, Cole Lewis. Currently over here in Ring 2, we have Class 22 here in Division 2. Well, congratulations in Class 22, your final class before Division II Champion Reserve. First place goes to back number 7362, CHR COBN Henley, 124H, exhibited by Cal and Roy Kinder of Piedmont, Oklahoma. Second place goes to back number 7287, DLCN Halo, 2918H, exhibited by Morgan Ramber of Huntington, Texas. Third place, back number 7288, exhibited by Eliza Truel of Skytook, Oklahoma. Fourth place, back number 7361, exhibited by Josie Chandler. Fifth place, back number 7358, exhibited by Taylor Baker. And sixth place, exhibited by back number 7360, Heston Pratt. We are now going to bring those first and seconds in. We'll be selecting a champion reserve out of Division II.
Back over here in the red ring, really a stout pair up here on top to sort between, and I think the logistics really sort them. You know, this heifer that goes ahead and wins the class is just a touch more striking. I think her biggest advantage is where you study her from that point of her shoulder back into her heart and forerib and the way that blends. You set in behind her and you study her the way she reads down her top. She's so uniform in that shape, how it spreads back into some wide pins. And when you set this heifer in motion, she's really flexible, she's agile and sound. Look forward to seeing her back out here. The heifer that's in the 2-hole is very similar in terms of her overall build, just in terms of that body shape and that doability and that soundness at the ground. You know, just doesn't do with all the other added bells and whistles. Not quite as good in that heart and forerib, as we said. Maybe like to see her a little more attractive at the top of her neck compared to that one that goes out to win the class. But boy, that's a super pair of heifers that got a lot of quality and a lot of future in front of them. The heifer that comes out next, again, an easy doing one, big rib, bold sprung, deep-sided. You set in behind her, she's got plenty of shape. You know, as you study her from the side, maybe gets a little plainer up through that front end compared to the first two. Certainly got a little bit of navel underneath her as you study her, but really a flexible one that's built for longevity. Young lady's heifer that comes out next, certainly a little more attractive fronted and cleaner about her navel than the one that goes out in front of her. One that's got a long neck and attractive look from the side. I guess when this one gets out and going, she gets a touch round shouldered for me. Just gets swimming out of that front end a little bit, if you will. Heifer that comes out next, a lighter colored heifer, long bodied, good hip. That's where she has the advantage over the heifer right below her. I think she's just squarer and truer from hooks to pins, both at the stand and when you let her in motion. Compared to the others that go out in front of her, you'd like to see her a little more robust in terms of that rib shape. Same can be said for the heifer that comes out next. Sure, a long-bodied one that's acceptable down at the ground. Just like to see a little bit more sweep to that rib cage, maybe level her up from hooks to pins. The heifer that comes out next, one that's flexible and athletic on the move. Certainly one that's going to have some longevity from a soundness standpoint. Maybe today this works to her disadvantage. You know, she's not exactly hammer-legged when she sets that thing down. We'd like to redesign that hind wheel a bit, maybe give her a little more shape when you set it behind her. The heifer that rounds out the class, certainly attractive fronted, lays in neat through that shoulder. But a heifer you just like to soften up that center body, maybe like drop her down in her top line a bit, if you will. But the young lady's doing a nice job. Take her home and feed her. She's going to have a nice future.
Well, congratulations in Division 2. Your champion goes to back number 7351. TASF GVAF Hina, exhibited by Carter Cornegie of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And reserve champion goes to back number 7346, PWBW Prima 250HET, exhibited by Brentley Wilkerson of Canton, Texas. Now currently in Ring 2, we will be bringing in your next class, first class in Division 3 here in your Junior Lim Flex show. You have those red results?
Yes.
What was it?
3, 2, 7, scratch, 8, 1, scratch, 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 6, 5, 4.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't actually shock me. Huh? Yeah. I just don't like Adam. I just can't. I can't with her. I figured that's why you're asking. Well, congratulations over here in Ring 2, Class 24. Results, first place goes to back number 7367, WB Hannah, exhibited by Torrance Spriggs of Afton, Oklahoma. And second place, back number 7290, WFL Heartbreaker 037H, exhibited by McKenna Rubright of Pattonville, Texas. We'll now bring in Class 25, your final class here in Division 3.
Did you do this one, the champion, or did you just skip it?
In Ring 1, we have the results of our first two classes here in the Red Angus Show. First place out of Class 1, back number 40100, L1G Miss F225, Cherry Star J70, exhibited by Lauren Goki of State Center, Iowa. Second place went to back number 40097, exhibited by Veronica Lentz of Creston, Iowa. Third place went to back number 40109, exhibited by Kip Wallace of Emerald, Wisconsin. Fourth place, back number 40098, exhibited by Madeline McClain of Thomas, Oklahoma. Fifth place, back number 40090, exhibited by Macy Woodard of Farmington, Arkansas. And sixth place goes to back number 40101, exhibited by Danica Lowry of El Dorado Springs, Missouri. And in Class 2A, April Heifer Calves over here in the Red Angus Ring. First place went to back number 40120, MHG Barcelona 107J, exhibited by Morley Griffith of Shawnee, Oklahoma. Second place, back number 40113, exhibited by Brett Pembroke of Fairview, Oklahoma. Third place, back number 40112, exhibited by Dixie Snodgrass of Glen Rose, Texas. Fourth place, exhibited by back number 40130, exhibited by Bella Wadey of Millsap, Texas. Fifth place, back number 4020, exhibited by Stetson Hendren of Stillwater, Oklahoma. And sixth place in that class, back number 40126, exhibited by Legacy Murphy Livestock, Paola, Kansas. Currently in Ring 1 is Class 2B, April Heifer Calves.
Back over here in the Red Angus side, really a nice trio of heifers up on top. Certainly not cut from the same cloth, but all cattle that are sound at the ground have some flexibility and certainly have some quality. The young lady's heifer that's going to go ahead and start the class. Boy, I love the body shape in this one. You set in behind this one, boy, she's just stout. You know, but still the right kind of maternal shape. You know, she gets her set right there. I mean, that one is dead level hipped and certainly acceptable down at the ground. You know, flexible in her hock, has some reach out of that front end. You know, not the longest necked one out here. That neck doesn't come just perfect high out of the top of her shoulder like compared to the one right behind her. But boy, that one's still has an elegant shape for one that's got that kind of dimension and that kind of body to her. The one that comes right in behind her, boy, this one's going to make an interesting yearling. You know, she's just not there yet. She's a little bit green, maybe even kind of fighting the halter a little bit out here. But, boy, that is a flexible, athletic one that's built good up through that front end. I think time is going to be her friend. You know, this one is going to go on and develop and just make a really nice yearling. Just runs out of body, maybe a little bit of stoutness compared to that one that wins the class. This heifer that comes out next can give you a great look. I love her depth of flank, the way she's shaped from hooks to pins there. She's really long and level from hooks to pins. I like the way her neck comes out of the top of her shoulder when you set her in motion. This one's really sound and flexible. You know, maybe compared to the two that go out in front of her, she's not as opened up and just robust through that heart and forerib as you study her right in behind her shoulder. But boy, I think that one has a bright future as well. Really good trio of heifers right up on top. Heifer that comes out next in 4 really gives you an interesting look. You set in behind her. Boy, this one is big top, thick-ended, you know, and can give you a nice look from the side. I guess my issue for this one is when she comes at you, she gets awful pigeon-toed and wanting to turn those toes in a little bit. She gets pretty restricted. We'd like to lay that angle of shoulder back on her front end when she goes. But, boy, that one certainly has some parts to hang your hat on. I like her very much as a breeding piece. Heifer that comes out next is just middle of the road and good. You know, she's flexible, she's sound, you know, doesn't come at you with the power of the class winner or maybe the added look of the heifers in 2, 3, and 4, but she's just going to go out and last a long time. She's flexible, she's sound, she's uniform in that body depth, and she's ample in terms of shape. Young man got a heifer coming out next. It's really nice as well. Maybe gets a little shorter body compared to some of those that go out in front of her. Would like to raise that neck up out of the top of her shoulder a bit. But boy, that one's good in terms of her body shape, ample in terms of her rib, and certainly flexible enough at the ground. Heifer that comes out next, maybe struggling a little more off those hind wheels. You know, you loosen this one up in terms of her hock and pastern, and maybe she can move up the line a bit. She's good in terms of her top, good in terms of her shape. Just like to loosen up that structure. Heifer that comes out next gets a little plainer from hooks to pins. You'd like to raise up those pins and maybe lay that tail head in a little neater to her spine, but still a long-bodied female that's really sound and has some performance. Heifer that comes out next, maybe a little shy in terms of performance. I appreciate this one for her balance and her levelness. Just like to lengthen her out, see her weigh a little heavier today. That one that comes out next certainly has that advantage. I like her length of body. She's flexible enough off that hind end. That one wants to struggle when she gets going out of her front end as well, but I do like her look. I like her performance. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, certainly an attractive fronted female that gives you some look. Gets just a little peg-legged, if you will. We'd like to loosen her up in terms of that structure.
Well, congratulations in Class 25 over here in Ring 2. We have the results of your final class before our Division 3. First place went to back number 7371, Shilling Haley, exhibited by Ava Hendrickson of Westmoreland, Kansas. Second place went to back number 7294, PC Hot Toddy 003H, exhibited by Colt Parkinson of Levelland, Texas. Third place went to back number 7373, Colton Martin of Gerald, Texas. And fourth place, back number 7298, Ratliff Heidi 082H, exhibited by Zachary Snyder. We'll now bring in your first and seconds. We're going to select a champion reserve out of Division 3. Back over in Ring 1. We have the results of Class 2B April heifer calves here in your Red Angus show. First place, back number 40714, KJHT Let's Dance 1160, exhibited by Olivia Naylor of Connorsville, Indiana. Second place went to back number 40144, TC Primrose, exhibited by Ty Scott and Callie Beyer of Ringo, Wisconsin. Third place went to back number 40143, exhibited by Maddie McClain of Thomas, Oklahoma. Fourth place went to back number 40136, exhibited by Camden Walter of Elk City, Oklahoma. Fifth place, exhibited by Greystone Cattle Company. Sixth place, exhibited by Hunter Jones of Moundville, Missouri. Currently in Ring 1, Class 3A March heifer calves. Well, congratulations in Division 3 of your Junior Lim Flex show. Champion back number 7371, Shilling Haley, exhibited by Ava Hendrickson of Westmoreland, Kansas. Second place in her class, exhibited by back number 7294. And reserve is going to go to back number 7294, PC Hot Toddy 003, exhibited by Colt Parkinson of Levelland, Texas. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Next in Ring 2, we'll look to start with Class 26 here in Division 4 of your Junior Lim Flex show. We would like to remind all of our exhibitors and spectators that we do have 2 bars here at the Cattlemen's Congress. There is a bar above the Jim Norick Arena sign opposite of the announcer booth called The Loft. Also a bar in Barn 3 called the Cattlemen's Bar. Neither of those you have to be members to, so please be sure to check those out while you're here with us at the Cattlemen's Congress.
Back over here in the red ring, a little more of a mixed bag here, not quite as easy to put together, or maybe not that one that just is the handle that says grab a hold of me and roll. But I think when you put totals together, this dark red heifer needs to win. First and foremost, she's the most striking at this stand. When you set her in motion, she's really flexible and agile off that hind leg. I realize she's given up some performance out here, but when you study her length of her canter, her length and neck, I think this one's going to be plenty big of a yearling. You know, gives you a nice look, nicely balanced. Yeah, in an ideal world, we'd like to see more of her, see her a little stouter. But I think for what we have out here, she's the most complete. You know, the heifer that's in second, it took you a while to get a look at her. She was really one to fight the halter out here. I think when she finally gets settled in, I think this is a very nice heifer. Yeah, she is a little high in the center of her spine at times, but in terms of length of body, in terms of uniformity of body depth, in terms of acceptable, you know, flexibility on the move, I think that's where she gets around the heifer in the third hole, just is structure. You know, the heifer in third, I floated this one. You know, at times she was going to win the class, and she ends up third here, you know, at the stand without question. This is the nicely presented square-hipped heifer. You said in behind her, she's got the most natural shape and dimension. But to me, I think this kind of works to her disadvantage. You know, she just gets a little tighter structure. I know that just coming out of her hip and coming out of that hock and even coming out of that front end, you know, it's acceptable, but it's just not fluid. It's just not as athletic as I'd like to see her for this juncture of her development. The heifer that comes out in forward, one that's got some performance, got some length of body. I like this one, its levelness from hooks to pins. You know, she's acceptable on the move. Maybe a touch piecier, if you will, compared to a few that go out there. We'd just like to reconnect her a little better from shoulder to forerib. You know, maybe see her move out with a little more looseness of structure off that rear pastern, but a nice female in her own right. The one that comes out next, the heifer with a little ringworm in her head, good in terms of that center body. You know, one that's bold sprung, deep rib, thick-ended. Again, I'd like to change the structure a little bit, gets a little rigid on that pastern. Certainly would like to lay that angle of shoulder back just a touch. Heifer that comes out next, one I appreciate for her stoutness and her natural shape she possesses. You know, again, one that gets a little piecey, if you will. She's got plenty of physical fill today through the center of her body, and I guess that's not helping her in terms of showing off that forerib and heart girth the way it should tie in a little better. But in terms of just one that's got some bone, got some substance, got a stout hip, I think that's one that's a really good breeding piece. Heifer that comes out next, again, one that's easy doing, one that's got some doability and some rib. You know, maybe compared to some of the others, she gets a little plainer about that front end and head. Certainly would like to loosen her up in terms of that structure, the way she goes out of that front end. Dark red heifer coming next, appreciate her length of body. A world of performance in this heifer. You know, maybe just gets a little plainer compared to a few of these others, starting to push a little bit of chest up through that front end. Would just like to balance her out a little better from forerib to flank. The heifer that comes out next, certainly appreciate the length of body. One that gets just a little rigid off that hind leg. We'd like to loosen up that pastern and drop her down in her flank, but sure appreciate her length of body and the look she gives you from the side. Female that's going to go ahead and round out the class. Again, one that's moderate and got some doability. Just like to lengthen out that front end, maybe lean her up just a touch, if you will.
Well, we have the results of Class 26 over here in your Junior Lim Flex show. First place went to back number 7380 Legacy's Halle Berry, exhibited by Claire Dorsey of Witt, Illinois. Second place went to back number 7379 LFL Havana ET, exhibited by Tucker Parkinson of Levelland, Texas. Third place goes to back number 7376, exhibited by Torrance Spriggs of Afton, Oklahoma. Fourth place, back number 7377, Addison McCarley of Girard, Kansas. And fifth place, back number 7378, Caitlin McKenzie Ayers of Gary, Texas. Currently in ring 2, we have Class 27. Back over in ring 1, results of Class 3A March heifer calves. First place went to back number 40155, exhibited by Mason Cray of Rush Springs, Oklahoma. Second place went to back number 40160, exhibited by James Tripp, Narden, Oklahoma. Third place went to back number 40159, exhibited by Tartut, Rushford, Minnesota. Fourth place goes to back number 40166, Clayton Wyatt, St. John, Gainesville, Texas. Fifth place went to back number 40539, Avery McMurphy of Alva, Oklahoma. And sixth place in that class went to back number 40153, Shelby Burley of Veneta, Oklahoma. Currently in ring 1 is Class 3B March heifer calves.
Really a good class here, probably as good a depth of quality of any classes we've seen, 1, 5, 6, 7 heifers down. We have a lot of quality in this class. The heifer that's going to go ahead and win the class, boy, she gives you a great look right there. Just big-bodied, square-hip, thick-ended. You read that one down her top, just massive in terms of the way she shapes right behind her shoulder, back there from her hooks to her pins. Plenty sound enough down at the ground. If I'm going to pick on this one, I would like to lean her up just a touch for this juncture of her development. I'm not calling her fat or anything, but for one, where she's at right now, I'd just like to knock a little chest out of her. But, boy, that's a flat good one. Look forward to seeing her back out here. The heifer that comes out next, I do appreciate the added juvenile look she possesses. She is a very late maturing female, lays in neat through the point of her shoulder, really flexible and agile at the ground. Not the mass and power that the female that goes out in front of her possesses, but I sure think this one's going to make an awful nice yearling. The heifer that comes out next just kind of falls right in between them. Again, a female that's good enough at the ground, gives you a nice look from the side, not as massive and stout as the heifer that wins the class, maybe not that ultra attractive, sleek look and sound hind leg that the heifer that comes in second has, but she just falls in here nicely. She's long neck. She's not super good at the base of her neck, but I like the way she comes out of the top of her shoulder. Young lady gets her stuck right there. She gives you a nice look from the side. Maybe not as truly square from hooks to pins at the stand as those two that go out in front of her, but boy, this young lady's heifer has a lot of nice things to hang her hat on. Heifer that comes out next, maybe just doesn't balance up as well as some of the others that go out in front of her, not handling that hind leg quite as athletically, but boy, this is a long-bodied, long-hipped one that's got some doability and gives you a nice square-hipped look. Heifer that comes out next, this one strikes you at first look. She gives you that massive, big-bodied, powerful look that her class winner gets. Only problem is you set this one in motion. She's just too rigid off of both ends. Boy, what a nice breeding piece. You go out and find a bull that's really loose structured and sound to stick on her. I mean, that one's got a milk crate hip, a big old top, and a lot of rib to her. Just need to loosen her up and more athletic. Heifer that comes out next, wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide her up one slot just by virtue of that trait. She is the sounder female that's better at her hock and better at the ground. Maybe gets a little drier ribbed compared to the heifer that goes out in front of her. That neck doesn't come out of her shoulder just ideal. But in terms of center body, in terms of soundness, I like that heifer a great deal. The one that comes out next is a little more exotic, up looking through that front end. I mean, she likes to get that old neck up out of the top of her shoulder and look at what's going around. Maybe a little piecier, runs downhill just a touch. Maybe doesn't blend in from shoulder to forerib quite as well as some of the others. Heifer that comes out next, a little more moderate female, but really good in terms of her lines. An attractive headed female. I appreciate the moderation about her. Maybe today this works to her disadvantage. Just not enough cow to get any higher. But just in terms of lines, in terms of pattern, she's a very nice female. Heifer that comes out next, moderate, high doability type of female, compared to the ones that go out in front of her. We'd like to stretch that old neck out, maybe lean her up a touch, but a female that's going to always go out and be a nice low-maintenance cow. Same can be said for the next heifer that comes out, you know, maybe a little shorter body, like to stretch this one out from nose to tail compared to some of those other ones out here, maybe clean up that navel, but one that's got some length, got some soundness, like to lay that tail head down into her spine. Young man with the next heifer, one that's got some performance, she's got some rib, just gets too straight fronted and jammed up through that front end. Heifer that comes out next, would like to clean up that navel, maybe give her a little more performance, but you sure appreciate that length and that soundness underneath. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, again, she's going to go out and make a cow because she's sound and she's got some doability and she's going to last, just not enough look and not enough balance to go ahead and compete with this group. Back here over in the red ring as we get ready to select your first division champion. Really tickled with the group we get out here. You know, not all exactly cut from the same cloth, but pretty dang close. Starting with your one out of the first class, you know, really juvenile, really late maturing, a heifer that still at this juncture has some performance, has some length. Is there enough power, enough dimension, enough development at this point to compete with a couple of these others? I'm not sure about that, but boy, that one sure has a bright future. Nicely presented, nicely shown. The heifer that comes out of the second division, boy, this is just a little cow. So flexible, so good in terms of that body depth, in terms of that sweep to her rib. One that's got a really good and true hip to her. Maybe compared to the one behind her, I'm kind of studying this heifer. She might stand a little more uphill. I love this one on the move. She's not the longest necked one in the world, but she's good shaped in that neck, and I like the way it comes out of the top of her shoulder. Heifer that comes out of the next division, again, very similar to the one in front of her. We love this one's balance. We love her symmetry. You get in behind her, she's got a great natural shape to her. If we're going to pick on this one a little bit, we might stretch her out just a hair and see her run a little bit more uphill. But boy, that's an ultra high quality female that's sure in the thick of the battle out here. The heifer that came out of the fourth class, as we discussed in class, it was probably the weaker class of the division, but sure, certainly a nice representative. She's good in her line. She's flexible at the ground. She's got a nice future. Then the heifer that comes out of the last class, boy, that's a big, powerful, nicely presented female. Good at the ground, good ribbed, one that gives you a nice look at all times. You set in behind this one, just awesome shape. You read her down her top, thick-ended, and certainly one that's plenty sound enough at the move. Like I said in class, I think she's teetering on having plenty enough bark on her, but I still think you melt the 10th off her, she's still the best one out here. Congratulations, the last division is going to be your champion. When you bring your second place, and I like this one a great deal. I love this one's future. Maybe doesn't hammer that leg out on the big bone as a couple of these other ones out here, but just in terms of maturity pattern, in terms of her juvenile look and her greenness, I think this one's going to come and catch a lot of them on the back stretch. With that being said, I think it comes down to these heifers out of the second and third class. I think it's really close. You're kind of splitting hairs there. But I guess as I discussed, I think the heifer that comes out of the second class does stand a little more uphill. Maybe just a little bit better in the way she handles that rear hock and passer. Very close. We're going to stick with the heifer out of class 2 for reserve division.
Well, congratulations over here in your red Angus ring. We have the results of your first division. Champion will go to back number 40170, LCC Cita Catalina 001, exhibited by Sydney Sanders of Leesburg, Ohio. And reserve champion will go to back number 40120, MHG Barcelona 107J, exhibited by Morley Griffith of Shawnee, Oklahoma. We'll now look for Ring 1, Class 4A, February heifer calves. Back over here in Ring 2, we have your Junior Lim Flex show going on. Class 27, first place went to back number 7384, SHSK Benji 205HET, exhibited by Carly Sue Calderman of Garland, Nebraska. Second place in that class went to back number 7302, Ratliff Harmony 062, exhibited by Braylon Schaefer, Hagerstown, Indiana. Third place went to back number 7383, J6 Caitlin 275 HET, exhibited by Ben Spencer of Gibbon, Nebraska. Fourth place went to back number 7381, EVSC's 717 HET, exhibited by Mallory May Yoakley of Mountainville, Missouri. Fifth place went to back number 7386, PBRS Humble 086 HET, exhibited by Callan Roy Kinder of Piedmont, Oklahoma. Sixth place, back number 7382, exhibited by Corbin Robbins, Chattanooga, Oklahoma. And seventh place went to back number 7387, Heston Pratt of Geary, Oklahoma. Currently in Ring 2 is Class 28. Well, congratulations in Class 28. First place will go to back number 7363, DL Hush Money 502H, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan, Dunlap, Iowa. Second place goes back number 7392, SSTO 0810HET, exhibited by Peyton Cullum of Guthrie, Oklahoma. Third place went to back number 7390, Ratliff Hookdom 005HET, exhibited by Trace M. Falkenstein of Oswego, Kansas. And fourth place in that class goes back number 7389, Auto Harmony 216HET, exhibited by Kaylee White. We'll now bring in Class 29. This will be your final class here in our final division in your Junior Lim Flex show. Well, congratulations in our final class here in your Lim Flex show. First place went to back number 7394, Ratliff. How about that? 004H, exhibited by Brady Edge of West Branch, Iowa. In second place went to back number 7393, Ratliff Hallucinate 006HET, exhibited by Caitlin McKenzie Ayers of Gary, Texas. We're now going to bring in your first and seconds. We'll be selecting a champion reserve in this division. Followed by that, we will be bringing in those graded reserves and have your Supreme Drive here in your Junior Lim Flex show. Well, congratulations, your champion in our final division here in your Junior Lim Flex show goes to Sarah Sullivan, Dunlap, Iowa, with DL Hush Money 502H. Second place in Sarah's class, exhibited by Peyton Cullum. And your reserve champion in that final division goes to back number 7384, SHSK Benji 205HET, exhibited by Carly Sue Calderman of Garland, Nebraska. Once again, congratulations to those exhibitors. At this time, we're going to bring in those champion reserves. We'll have your grand drive over here in your Junior Lim Flex show. Well, for those of you joining us ringside, entering Ring 2 right now are all your Champion Reserve Division winners out of our Junior Lim Flex show. Division 1 champion exhibited by Hadley Hendrickson of Farmland, Indiana, with MDAY Miss Valley Apple ET. Coming in out of Division 2, your champion in that division, coming out of Class 21, back number 7351, TASF GVAF Henna, exhibited by Carter Cornegie of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Your champion coming in and out of Division 3, back number 7371, Schilling Haley, exhibited by Ava Hendrickson of Westmoreland, Kansas. Coming in out of Division 4, champion out of that division, exhibited by Trace Falkenstein, Oswego, Kansas, with Ratliff Hookdom 005HET. Correction on that. Champion in that division, back number 7363, DL Hush Money, 502H Sarah Sullivan, Dunlap, Iowa. For those of you joining us ringside, please put your hands together for all of our Junior Lim Flex exhibitors here at the Cattlemen's Congress.
Back over here in the red ring, we have a foursome of heifers up here on top that there's some give and take in. And I think when you put totals together, this heifer up the front is the one I like the best. At times, she's a little too full today, a little, on that left side, so it throws her off at times. But when you really study the totals, the way that one's just her maternal build, combined with the amount of natural shape she has while she's still flexible and gives you a nice look from the side, I think that's the one we need to find. She's not just ideal in the set to that hind leg, and she's not the biggest one in the world, but within this class, I just think she's the best one. The heifer that comes out in the next hole, maybe the biggest boned and stoutest feature to the group. She's really big top, reads nice down, out through her hooks and pins, one that's uniform in terms of her body depth. She's sound enough, maybe compared to this foursome of up on the top end. She needs to be laid back in that angle of shoulder, maybe just doesn't reach out with much stretch to her stride. But boy, that one's fresh, and she's got a nice shape to her and got a lot of future. The heifers in 3 and 4, just in terms of just maternal look and cattle that are going to go out and make cows that are sound and functional and give you an elegant look. I like them both a great deal. I wouldn't argue if you flopped them. I use the heifer that's a little more moderate. I just think when you set her in motion, she carries that loin a little better when she gets out and goes, the way it ties into her tail head. One that's just really good in terms of that depth of rib, really sound at the ground. Maybe just runs out of power through the seat of her pants compared to those couple that go out in front of her. Just like to stouten this old girl up a little bit. But just in terms of maternal shape, go home and mate this one. I think she's going to be a heck of a brood cow. Wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide this one up one slot over that heifer, just in terms of her advantage of length and neck. She lays in really neat through that shoulder, one that gives you a nice look from the side, very elegant, compared to the 4 that go out in front of her again. Maybe a little higher in her flank compared to her forerib. Not exactly hammer-legged, and we might just like to make this one a little stouter as well. Heifer that comes out next, young man does an awesome job showing her. She gives you a great look, really well balanced, really symmetrical in terms of her lines. But the thing that's a little too symmetrical for me is that angle you see of her front leg and her shoulder. The angle of that front end and shoulder, I just like to change it. You lay that old angle of shoulder back in her and soften this one center body. She's got a very nice build. Heifer that comes out next, just a little greener in her overall pattern, but one that's got some length, got some look, just like to power her up through that center body. Heifer that comes out next, one to fight the halter at times. She was a little harder to get a gauge on, but one that's bold sprung and deep rib, maybe just pushing a little chest, if you will. She too could be redesigned in that structure through her front end, just wanting to swim a bit, if you will. Young man's heifer that comes out next. Again, a really nice female in her own right, long-bodied, bold-sprung, deep-ribbed. Again, not exactly hammer-legged off that hind leg. We'd like to change that a bit, and a little bit shorter-necked. Heifer that comes out next, again, one we appreciate for her power and her dimension and her substance of bone. Gets them old hind wheels a little too far underneath her. Maybe, again, just a touch straighter in terms of that shoulder structure. Heifer that comes out next, again, bold sprung, deep rib, just gets a little too tight and rigid on those pasterns as she goes. Heifer that comes out next, good substance of bone, again, gets a little piecey, if you will. We'd like to put her together a little bit better behind that, the way she blends that scapula, and shoulder blade on into her top line. Heifer that comes out next, dark red female, long-bodied, got some performance. Just like to give her a bit more flank and a little bit more power. The hairy heifer that comes out next, good performance, good depth of rib, good doability. Just needs more length of neck, needs to be looser structured. And this dark red heifer that rounds out the class, young man doing a nice job. She's got some length of body. Just like to redesign that one structurally, give her a little bit more aesthetic look.
Well, congratulations over here in Ring 2. Your grand champion, Junior Lim Flex female, comes out of our Division 3 champion, Shilling Haley, exhibited by Eva Hendrickson, Westmoreland, Kansas. And reserve champion, Junior Lim Flex female, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan, Dunlap, Iowa, with DL Hush Money 502H. Once again, congratulations to all of our Junior Lim Flex exhibitors. A special thank you to our judge today, Mr. Lydell Meyer. Back over here in Ring 1. Results out of Class 4A February heifer calves in our Open Red Angus show. First place went to back number 40195, Duff Dixie Erica 1986, exhibited by Kendall Sadler of Perkins, Oklahoma. Second place went to back number 40214, exhibited by Zachary Griffith of Marietta, Oklahoma. Third place went to back number 40209, exhibited by Brett Pembroke of Fairview, Oklahoma. Fourth place went to back number 40208, also exhibited by Brett Pembroke. Fifth place in that class went to back number 40203, exhibited by Preston Hartman of Tecumseh, Nebraska. Sixth place in that class went to back number 40206, TLC Jesse's Girl 102J, exhibited by Hans Lind of Rushford, Minnesota. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Currently in Ring 1, we have Class 4B February heifer calves.
Another nice pair of heifers up here on the top of this class. Somewhat contrasting type, but I opted for the heifer with just a touch more power. Yes, she does give up a touch in terms of length of body, but I think she makes up for it in terms of her substance of bone. You read her down her top, she's got a little more dimension and sets a touch wider in those pins. Her particular advantage to me, when she gets out and goes, she travels just squarer and truer from hock to ground and maybe reaches out with just a little more length to that stride off her hind wheel. Heifer that comes out in second, no question, long-bodied, super long from hooks to pins, a female that's uniform in that body depth, angular off that front end, just runs out of power, maybe plays out from hooks to pins compared to my class winner. Again, maybe just like the redesigner, see her touch more athletic in the way she carries that hind wheel. Heifer that comes out next, really an attractive, up-headed type of female, long and level from hooks to pins. Again, not as much power as that class winner. Would just like to fill her out through the seat of her pants a touch, if you will, but one that's got a lot of look, got a lot of aesthetic quality. Heifer that comes out next, again, one of the power heifers in the class. You get in and study her behind her. She's really thick-ended and big-topped and bold-sprung. I guess to me, she just gets a little uncoordinated off that hind wheel, just wants to get outside of her track when she goes and throw those old wheels out just a bit, maybe like to stretch out her neck compared to the ones that go out in front of her. That's not a problem with the heifer that comes out next. Really a big, high-performing, stout-featured heifer that comes out next. Just like to lay that tail head in a little neater and tidier to her spine. Maybe give her just a little more elegant front end, but really appreciate just the performance and the length that this heifer possesses. Heifer that comes out next to the young lady is really a nicely presented one. She gets her showed very well. At first I had her up a couple more notches. She's really bold sprung, really thick-ended. But when you set this one in motion, she just gets a little jammed up through that front end. Just like to see her move with a little more flexibility off that hind wheel, that rear hock and pastern. Heifer that comes out next, wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide this one a slot or two, just on the fact that she is a little more agile in that hock and pastern than is the one that goes out in front of her. But at the same time, she's got a dabble of navel underneath. We just like to see her bolder sprung and deeper ribbed. Heifer that comes out next to the young man's, really an attractive look. Again, wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide her a couple notches, just in the fact that she's deep ribbed and she's uniform in that body depth. To me, she's carrying a dab of chest. I just like to balance her out a little bit better from chest on back to her flank, maybe lengthen her out a touch, but one that's got a lot of quality to hang her hat on, really sound, really flexible, nice cow prospect. Heifer that comes out next, a little greener in her build, but that's okay. Really a long-necked one that lays in neat through her shoulder. Just needs a little more power, a little more punch to go ahead and move her up a slot or two. Red heifer that comes out next, big rib, deep-sided, stout-featured type female that's thick from behind. I guess to me, the shortest part of her body is from her hooks to her pins. Need to stay on loin in that heifer all the time, and that's by virtue of the fact that she does tend to play out and taper and go downhill from hooks to pins. Heifer that comes out next, really stout-featured, and for one that's got that much power, she's acceptable on the move. We just like to lay that tail head in a bit neater to her spine, stretch that old neck out just a touch. Light-colored heifer that comes out next, the same can be said. We just like to tone that tail head down, lengthen that neck out and clean her up about her chest, but one that's got some quality, got some substance of bone, got some doability. Young man's heifer coming out next does a real good job showing this heifer. She's attractive fronted, she's elegant, she's lean, just needs more power, needs a little more dimension when you set in behind her. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, at the stand, this one gives you a good look. Just gets pretty choppy and shuffly as she wants to get around the ring. Just like to lay that angle of shoulder back a touch, if you will.
Well, congratulations in Class 4B February heifer calves. First place goes to back number 40225, BJF CETA 1049, J, exhibited by Luke Borkland of Henning, Minnesota. Second place will go to back number 40229, JCL Sweet Cherry Pie, exhibited by Kyler Plug of Lincoln, Nebraska. Third place will go to back number 40235, exhibited by Paige Van Dyke of Louisville, Illinois. Fourth place went to back number 40216, exhibited by Madeline McLean of Thomas, Oklahoma. Fifth place went to back number 40223, exhibited by Alyssa Worthington of Frederick, Oklahoma. And sixth place went to back number 40233, exhibited by Danica Lowry of El Dorado Springs, Missouri. Now in Ring 1, we have Class 5 January heifer calves.
Really a nice trio of heifers up on the top end of this class. You know, not any one of the three exactly cut from the same cloth. And, you know, I'm just projecting out here. I just like the added performance, the added juvenile look in this heifer that goes ahead and wins the class. I mean, both of these heifers that are out here right now got here over the heifer in third. They're just a little sounder at the ground, especially the way they reach out of that front end and the way they handle that rear pastern. The heifer that's going to go ahead and win the class, boy, for a red, I love the way this one's neck ties into the top of her shoulder. So smooth in the point of that shoulder into her forerib. One that's got a world of length of body, a lot of flexibility at the ground. I think this one's just got more future as I study her projector on down the line. I think there's enough more performance, enough more length. This one's going to stay together and make a really nice yearling. Boy, what a brood cow prospect in two. Just one that's so uniform in terms of her build. Yeah, is she a little bit short-bodied, a little compact? Absolutely. But in doing that, she's still a very good female. It's extremely uniform in that body depth, one that reads good shape down her top. She's plenty flexible at the ground. Again, I'd just like to stretch that old neck out, just give that one a little more look through that front end, maybe just raise her up, give her more performance. But what a moderate, cool brood cow prospect. The dark red heifer that comes out next, you know, when they first came in the class, I thought this might be our class winner. You know, nicely presented. Young man gets her stuck there. She's got a nice look from the side. At times, I think she gets jammed up out of her front end. You know, she just doesn't want to pull that old neck out of her shoulder quite as well. And when he gets her out going, I know this isn't going to last, but she's just not wanting to handle that pastern right today. And, you know, and that's enough to catch her in this class with a really good trio of heifers. But I project that one out as being a very good female. I like her a great deal. You know, get her a little more. She's just not feeling comfortable in the ring today. You can see her going out. She's fighting that halter. She's fighting everything else. And it is a show today. But trio of really, really good heifers. No slouch in the four-hole here. No question, the biggest, highest performing female in that class. I love her rib. I love her doability. To me, she just gets a bit round-shouldered. I'd like to lay her back in that angle of shoulder. Just see her reach out with just a little bit more looseness of structure, a little bit more aggression off that front end. But in terms of performance, in terms of power, in terms of dimension, you like this one a great deal. The red heifer that comes out next, again, very shapely. You know, you study her and get in behind her. That one's got as much power and three-dimensional shape as anything in the class. I guess to me, she gets a little shorter necked, you know, maybe a touch cresty at the top of that neck, if you will. One that I just like to loosen up in the way she handles that hock and pastern. For the heifer that comes out next, moderate frame female, uniform in her body depth, got a lot of doability. You know, gets just a little bit more generic in the way that tail head lays into her spine. She's nicely presented, but still, I'd like to lay that thing in a little neater and smoother. Lighter colored heifer that comes out next, really attractive through that front end, one I think is very flexible at the ground. At times, she gets her top broached up. You just like to strengthen her up behind that shoulder a touch. Heifer that comes out next, good at the ground, got some substance of bone and some flexibility at the ground. A long-bodied female that's uniform in that body depth, just gets a touch plainer. Just like to give her a little bit more look, a little bit more pizzazz through that front 1/3. Heifer that comes out next has that advantage, just not as long-bodied. A heifer that's not a little more restricted on the move and a little shorter hipped, but one that you certainly appreciate in terms of that depth of rib and that doability she possesses. Heifer that comes out next, really long-bodied, level from hooks to pins. Just wants to get those old wheels up underneath her, just like the redesigner from hock to ground to touch. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, sure appreciate the easy flushing and the doability this one has. She's just chock full of muscle. But again, just a little too quick in her maturity pattern for me. Just like to peel a little grease off this one.
Well, congratulations in Class 5. First place goes to back number 40260, DDAD Abby Sue, exhibited by Morgan Jackson of Kaufman, Texas. Second place, back number 40261, Allrich Dakota Copper, 2104, exhibited by Allrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota. Third place went to back number 40241, exhibited by Lee Borkland of Henning, Minnesota. Fourth place went to back number 40250, exhibited by Jaden Johnson of Blossom, Texas. Fifth place in that class goes to back number 40255, exhibited by Luke Pladson of Harpers Ferry, Iowa. Sixth place in that class will go to back number 40247, exhibited by Madison Fisher of Hempstead, Texas. We are now bringing in your first and seconds, so we'll select Champion Reserve Junior Heifer Calf.
Another really good group as we get out here to select your champion here in the junior calf division. You know, not quite the numbers we had in the spring calf division, but still hanging in there with a lot of quality. You know, the trio of females that we have out here, starting with the first class winner. Love the elegance up through this one's front end. Lays in really smooth at the point of her shoulder. Just a really sound, stout featured type of female. You know, if we're going to pick on this one, we might just tie her in a little bit better behind her shoulder compared to a couple of these, especially as you view her from this side. But really a good high quality female that's obviously in the middle of this battle. The female that comes out of class 2, just really complete, you know. You study the cattle on either side of her, you know, maybe the stoutest one's up front, maybe the longest, highest performing one's right behind her, you know, but this one's kind of a mesh of both, you know. She's uniform in that body depth. She's bold sprung. She's sound. She's flexible at the ground. When you set in behind her, she's ample in terms of shape. And then when he gets her set there, I like the way her neck comes out of the top of her shoulder. I like where she's at in terms of her condition for this juncture of her development. Then the heifer that comes out of the last class, that was a little more struggle to put together. A trio of really good heifers, just not cut from the same cloth. I love the future in this one. I love the lateness and maturity. She's really up-headed, lays in neat to her shoulder. You know, again, like the heifer that comes out of the first class, we might tie her in just a touch better there behind her shoulder. But boy, that's really an attractive, late maturing female that's plenty sound at the ground and has a bright future. With that being said, I think of this trio, there's one that kind of sticks out for me. It's the heifer that comes out of the middle class. I'm going to take a look at your second and find you a reserve.
Well, congratulations. Your champion in the junior heifer calf division goes to back number 40225 BJF CETA 1049J, exhibited by Luke Borkland of Henning, Minnesota. And reserve champion of that division goes to back number 40195. Duff Dixie Erica 1986, exhibited by Kendall Sadler, Perkins, Oklahoma. We're now going to bring in your next class here in Ring 1. We'll look for Class 6 winter heifer calves. Sailors sail, cowboys ride, lovers love, and they get the chance.
40225.
Really a good pair of heifers to go ahead and start off this fall division. Heifer that goes ahead and wins the class, really fresh, really nicely presented. You sit in behind this one, just a great shape down that top and back into her hip. You ask her to set in motion, she's certainly flexible enough, good in terms of those angles. You know, in an ideal world, we might just clean her up about the base of her neck, and I think that's the advantage in the heifer in two. I prefer just her elegance up through that front 1/3, just a touch. Again, really sound, really flexible female that's very pleasing from an aesthetic standpoint. I think compared to my class winner, she just gives up a little bit of natural shape. Would certainly like to open her up and see her a little more robust through that heart and forerib compared to my class winner. Tremendous, tremendous pair. Look forward to seeing them back out. From there, you got some decisions to make. There's certainly some give and take. I like the young man's heifer next. I just think she's really honest. I think she's square and true from hooks to pins. You know, she's green and she's still a little juvenile in her build, but I think she's got a place to go. I think she's good enough at the ground. I think she's good enough in her build. I think she's just the next best option. Heifer that comes out next, I appreciate her moderation. Certainly a little stouter featured and bigger boned than is the one that goes out in front of her. I guess to me, it's a touch choppier on the move, maybe a bit plainer through that front 1/3. Would just give her a touch more performance compared to that trio that go out in front of her as well. Heifer that comes out next, wouldn't argue if you wanted to flop her a slot with the one in front of her. Again, really big bone, really stout featured, good feet underneath this one. To me, she gets a little piecey behind her shoulder, maybe a little extra fill on her today, kind of throwing her off in the way she ties into that shoulder, into that heart and forearm. But that one's got some really nice pieces, going to go out and make a nice productive cow. Dark red heifer that comes out next. You know, at the stand, I like this one. Her neck comes out of the top of her shoulder, very good. Gives you a nice look from the side. When you set her in motion, she gets a little more restricted. Kind of wants to get that top up in the air a little bit, drop those pins a touch as she goes. But young lady's certainly got a nice project, nice breeding piece to work with. Young lady's got a really nice one here, doing a great job showing this heifer. Super long-bodied, one that's flexible at the ground. I guess to me, she just gets a little weaker in that loin. I think when you get this one on down the line and get her as a long bred, you're going to see that a little more. She's going to lose that top a bit, but certainly a really long-bodied, sound female that's got a lot of quality to her. Heifer that comes out next may be the stouter one of the bunch, but certainly just gets too restricted on the move. You study her as she goes away from you and the way she handles that hip and hind leg, just a little too peg-legged, a little too restricted there, but sure appreciate the rib shape and the natural dimension she has behind. Heifer that comes out next, much can be said the same. Gives you a decent look from the side, one that's got some power and three-dimensional shape. Just a little too rugged in the way she moves off those hind wheels. Would just like to redesign her in that build. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, certainly one that's got some length, got some performance. Just like to stouten her up, strengthen up that loin a bit, if you will. Maybe moderate her just a touch.
Well, congratulations in Class 6 Winter Heifer Calves. First place goes to back number 40270 TW Candace 062H, exhibited by Arden Kildow of Blauville, North Carolina. Second place will go to back number 402A1 7KZG Harlow H807, exhibited by Zachary Griffith of Marietta, Oklahoma. Third place went to back number 40262 ALT Sarah 1204H, exhibited by Colton Jones. Fourth place goes to back number 40363, exhibited by Lori Hammer. Fifth place goes to back number 40275, exhibited by Newt Hutchinson. Sixth place went to back number 40271, exhibited by James Tripp of Nardin, Oklahoma. Now in Ring 1, we have Class 7 Senior Heifer Calves.
Another really good class in the fall division over here in the red show. You know, a nice foursome of heifers up on top. But with that being said, I think the heifer that wins does so fairly logically, particularly when you set this one in motion. She's without question the most athletic, the best footed of the group. She's very agile and athletic as she gets around the ring. While she still has some performance, some looks, some balance. No, she's not the raciest fronted one you've ever seen, but she's certainly going to go out and make a low maintenance, high quality brood cow. The one that's most like her in terms of build is this heifer in two. Yeah, I'd like to clean her up through that front 1/3 a little bit. She's starting to get a little bulk through that chest floor, but just in terms of soundness and squareness of hip and the ability to get around the ring and motor, I like her the second best. She's the most like my class winner. The heifer that comes out next, the high-performing, long-bodied female of the group, really gives you a great aesthetic look from the side to tremendously long and level from hooks to pins. I guess for me, she runs out of gas in terms of structure compared to the two that go out in front of her, just not as coordinated off of either end. I'd like to see her a bit more opened up in that heart girth and forerib. Heifer that comes out next, wouldn't argue if you wanted to slide her up into that third hole, just on the fact that she does handle that hind wheel with just a touch more authority, but at the same time, she gets a little bit straighter and more erect in that front end. She is the more moderate female of the first four that gives up a little bit of performance, but I do think she has a lot of quality. I'd like to strengthen her up in that loin just a hair. Heifer that comes out next, a lot of length of body, very fresh. I like the condition this one's in. Compared to the ones that go out in front of her, you just like to soften her up in that flank, maybe see her set that hind wheel down with a little more authority, a little squarer from hock to ground. Young man comes out next with a lighter colored heifer that's really green but really good. You know, this heifer is long bodied, she's level hip, going to go out and make a productive brood cow for this young man. Probably runs out of power and dimension and skeletal width compared to some of these that go out in front of her, but young man doing a really good job with this one, got a nice project. Heifer that comes out next has some shape, has some power when you stand in behind her. When you set her in motion, she gets more restricted, wants to get a little roachy in that top and drop those pins just a touch. Heifer that comes out next as much power and three-dimensional shape as anything in the class, as much substance of bone, but I guess today that kind of works to her disadvantage. It's just causing her to be a little bit too restricted off of both ends, just a little bit too rugged, too coarse for me. Heifer that rounds out the class, you know, I wouldn't argue if you wanted to flop that pair, just in terms of elegance through that front end, but this one too, she struggles a little bit off of both ends of her structure, just like to soften up that body and center flank.
Well, congratulations in Class 7. First place goes to back number 40292, DKBF PCC Pride 138H, exhibited by Rex Howard of Lattimore, North Carolina. Second place goes to back number 40290, DKBF PCC Pride 207H, exhibited by Macy Weems, Eustis, Texas. Third place will go to back number 40285, JCL Cinnamon 035H, exhibited by Marlowe Cattle Services and JCL Red Angus. Fourth place went to back number 40286, exhibited by Aubrey Accord of Madisonville, Texas. Fifth place, back number 40289, exhibited by Reagan Cray. Sixth place, back number 40296, exhibited by Casey Holton of Cisco, Texas. Now in the ring, we'll bring in your first and seconds. We'll select the champion reserve, fall heifer calf.
Back out here to select your division champion here, the Falls here in the Red Show. Got a really nice foursome of cattle out here. Cattle that are similar in terms of their build. They're moderate cattle that got some rib and are very flexible at the ground. I think cattle that are going to go out and make positive contributions as cows. With that being said, I think there's one heifer that puts the most good things together. She's very nicely presented, you know, uniform in terms of that body depth, a female that's good at the ground. You know, you read her down her top, tremendous shape, starting right behind that shoulder blade, coming clear back from hooks to pins. It's the heifer walking right out front of me. Congratulations. She's going to be your division champion.
Well, congratulations in your Fall Heifer Calf Division. Champion goes to back number 40270 TW Candace 062H, exhibited by Arden Kildow.
I think this is really close for reserve. You know, these cattle got some give and take to them. Your second place heifer, when she comes in, I think she's got the advantage. I watched him walk one more time. You know, she's very fresh, lean up through that front end. You know, from this point forward, I probably like her in terms of her maturity, in terms of her ability to go forward. She's got a little extra pin width. Yeah, with it, she's got the pin width, but yet she still stays inside of her stride when she goes. You watch both these cattle walk away from you. The heifer from the second class, yeah, she's massive, she's cowy, but she does want to get outside of that stride. I think she's carrying a touch more bark than the heifer in front of her. I'm going to stick with your second place for reserve division. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations. Your reserve division goes to back number 40281, 7KZG Harlow, H807, exhibited by Zachary Griffith, Marietta, Oklahoma. Once again, congratulations to those exhibitors who bring in Class 8 late summer yearling heifers.
Young man's got just a single entry here in August, but certainly one deserving of a blue ribbon. Really an attractive front end heifer, lays in neat through her shoulder. Really good in her basic build and plenty good enough down at the ground. Look forward to seeing her back out here.
Well, congratulations in Class 8. First place goes to back number 40298, MF Emily 0891, exhibited by Leighton McMurphy of Canyon, Texas. Now we'll bring in Class 9 summer yearling heifers. After this class, we'll bring in your first and seconds to select champion reserve intermediate heifer.
Oh, really a nice group out here as we get into your summer division. The heifer that's out front just kind of comes to the top fairly easily, in my opinion. Really an elegant fronted female. I love the way she lays her shoulder it back into her heart and forerib. You know, one that's so good in terms of her lines, ample in terms of natural shape, very flexible on the move. You know, if I'm going to get nitpicky on this one, she sure wants to get outside of her stride just a touch as she goes away from you. Would like to plant those back corners down just a little squarer into her, but that's getting nitpicky on a really, really easy class winner, and look forward to seeing her back out here. The heifer that comes in too certainly possesses a little more shape. You know, you get in behind her, she's got more in the seat of her pants. She's a big top, thick-ended one. She's just not as elegant, not as attractive up through that front end, not as smooth in her transitions, maybe just a touch coarser, if you will, about her shoulder, but a very, very good female that certainly has a lot of quality to hang her hat on. Heifer that comes out next, you know, at the stand, I'd have probably went ahead and stuck this one in the second hole. Just she's got enough more performance, enough more length than the one that goes out in front of her. But when you set this one in motion, she gets awful rigid on those rear pasterns. We just like to see her a little more fluid, a little more athletic as she goes off those hind wheel. Maybe lean her up just a touch. But really an attractive, fronted, smooth-shouldered female that's good in terms of that body cavity. Really a high-performing female that comes out next, this black-headed one. Big rib, bold sprung, long-sided. Again, I just like to strengthen her up in her loin, just see her move out with a little more authority off of both ends of her structure, lay that angularly shoulder back, particularly on that front end, but a big, high-performing, long-bodied type of female. The one that comes out next, you can't question the amount of rib and natural dimension and shape this one possesses, set awful wide at her pins. I guess she just runs out of structural quality for me, one that gets a little rounder, a little more opened up in terms of her shoulder, maybe a touch pigeon-toed as she comes at you, if you will. Would like to tone down that tailhead. Heifer that comes out next, really a high-performing, long-bodied female. I like the way she gets out off that hind leg. To me, just gets a little bit longer, plainer headed, if you will. Maybe the potentially harder maintaining female as a cow, but does give you a nice look from the side. You know, again, one that's pigeon-toed coming at you. Like to see her move out with a little more reach off that front end. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, certainly one you can appreciate for her moderation and her doability. You know, having a little bit of udder problems. Young man says she's due in March. You know, I don't know what's going on there. Would like to clean that up a little bit, but more importantly, I'd like to loosen her up off that hind end. Maybe give her a little more length through that front end. Good group of cattle. Look forward to seeing that class winner back out here.
Well, congratulations in ring one. Results of class 9. First place went to back number 40302. DKBF Priscilla 415H, exhibited by Baxter Aiden Blair of McLean, Saskatchewan. Second place will go to back number 40312, exhibited by Hunter Jones. Third place, back number 40314, Danielle Brooks. Fourth place went to back number 40309, exhibited by Olivia Gerloff. Fifth place, back number 40311, exhibited by Reese McMurphy. And sixth place went to back number 40303, exhibited by Carly Jo Kleeman. Seventh, back number 40307, Colt Illingworth. We are now going to bring in your first and seconds. We'll select a champion reserve intermediate heifer. Over here in ring 2, we are getting ready to get started with your open Galvey female show. We're looking to start with class 1 aged cows.
Another really nice representatives out here for your intermediate division. You know, as we discussed in the last class, really a nice female up on the top of that class. I'm not going to go discussing a whole lot more. She's just a combination of quality, look, balance, and soundness out here. Your division champion's going to come out of your second class. I certainly think it gets a touch closer for reserve. You know, I do appreciate the August heifer. I do think she is a little better at the base of her neck, maybe a little leaner than the second place heifer that comes out of the division winners class, but I think that's where it ends. I think beyond that, we got the stouter, bigger bodied, higher quality female. She's going to be your reserve champion. Congratulations, young man.
Well, congratulations. In your intermediate division, champion went to back number 40302, DKBF Priscilla 4158, exhibited by Baxter Blair, and reserve champion went to back number 40312, exhibited by Hunter Jones. Now in ring 1, we'll bring in Class 10 April Spring Yearling Heifers. Well, congratulations, and a nice way to start out our Galvey female show. Your champion aged cow is going to go to back number 6194, exhibited by Jacob Arthur McDonald of Rolla, Missouri, and reserve champion goes to back number 6195, exhibited by Nick Doring. We will now bring in Class 4 Spring Heifer calves born May 1st to June 30th, 2021. For those of you that are just joining us ringside, we'd like to introduce to you our judge today in Ring 2, Mr. Bruce Sterzbach. Bruce and his wife Amy and their two sons Dylan, his wife Taylor, and Kate and longtime girlfriend Taylor Duckett reside in Louisville, Ohio, where they own and operate Sterzbach Cattle Company. At Sterzbach Cattle Company, their main focus is producing exceptional, high-quality, national contending Angus show cattle that go on to produce for their customers. Bruce has raised Angus cattle for more than 30 years and has produced many national, regional, and state championships throughout the country. Bruce and his wife Amy are extremely proud of their latest and greatest breeding accomplishment, SEC 24 Carat, one of the most popular, exciting, and widely used Angus sires throughout all breeds across the country. Bruce is a large supporter of the National Junior Angus Association and all the programs that help develop and educate the next generation of young Angus enthusiasts. Outside of the Angus cattle, another component to Bruce and Amy's day-to-day operations lies within Northridge Aussies, where they're AKC-registered Australian Shepherds, a true love for a loyal breed of working dog that began for over 30 years. For those of you joining us ringside, put your hands together for a judge in Ring 2, Mr. Bruce Sterzbach.
Back over here in the Reds, we had a trio of really nice heifers in this class out here. You know, cattle that are obviously not cut from the same cloth, but cattle that are all good in their own way. But I think when I put the totals together, this heifer up front needs to win the class. Super elegant up through that front end. I love the way her neck ties into the top of her shoulder. She's really lean and fresh in her condition. She's acceptable on the move. You know, not the stoutest one in the world, but she's built like she is. Her front end and her back end are built the same. You know, she blends from end to end. I think she's really smooth. I think she's really complete. Would I like to stouten her up a touch? Sure, I would, but she's still the one you need to find in this class as a combination. Young man's calf that comes out next, you know, the other one that's super sound. I like this one's hind wheel. She's probably the shapiest of the three when you get in behind her. I guess to me she gets a little more compact, a little shorter bodied, if you will. Maybe gets a touch outside that stride. You know, starting to udder up. I'm not sure, you know. I have a hard time gauging udders on these breds. You don't know what it's going to turn into when they get calved out and milked out. You know, a couple weeks with that calf on them. But I would like to change that at her. Gets a little pendulous in those teats for this point in her development. I guess to me, her biggest fault to the one that wins the class, she's just a little bigger and rounder shouldered and just doesn't blend as smooth into that heart and forerib. Heifer that comes out next, you know, at this stand, this one could probably win the class. You know, she's as good bodied through that center rib. She's big top. She's thick-ended. You know, she's one that's flexible enough off her hind end. She's really one to struggle off that right front today. You know, I don't know if it's a little bit of an injury or what it is, but she is just one to fight that right front leg awful bad today. Just can't get her any higher than that third slot the way she's moving. Heifer that comes out next, moderate frame female that's got some doability, really uniform in terms of that body depth. You know, we might want to lean this one up just a touch compared to the ones that go out in front of her, but a female that's got a lot of quality for the young man to hang his hat on. Young man with the heifer coming out next, doing a really good job with this one. You know, best heifer he's brought out thus far today. A heifer that's got some length, some attractiveness up through her front end. A female that's acceptable down at the ground and got some substance of bone. You know, if you're going to pick on her, you'd probably change her in the way she's built on that hind leg. You know, maybe power her up compared to a few of these, but a nice female. Then the one that rounds out the class, probably as stout as anything in here when you set in right behind her. She's got as much bone and natural dimension as any. But to me, she just gets a little too coarse, gets that old tail head up in the air a bit. Certainly would like to redesign her on the move a touch.
Well, congratulations. Back over in Ring 2, results out of Class 4 Spring Heifer Calves. First place went to back number 6006, exhibited by Alexandria Rabb of Markle, Indiana. Second place went to back number 6071, Spencer Martin, Perkinson, Mississippi. Third place went to back number 6001, exhibited by J.C. Diane Carroll. And fourth place went to back number 6003, exhibited by J.C. Forbes. Now in Ring 2, we have Class 5 Spring Heifer Calves born March 1st to April 30th. In your red Angus ring, we have the results of Class 10 April Spring Yearling Heifers. First place went to back number 40321 TLC Harmony 019H, exhibited by Cade McCracken, Alva, Oklahoma. Second place went to back number 40322 EGL Dream Girl 0077, exhibited by Brett Pembroke, Fairview, Oklahoma. Third place went to back number 40323 TCLE H33, exhibited by Tucker Beyer of Ringgold, Wisconsin. Fourth place went to back number 40316 MF Rachel 08, exhibited by Caleb Williams of Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. Fifth place, back number 40318, Colt Illingsworth of Funk, Nebraska. And sixth place in that class went to back number 40625, Lacey's Red Angus of Drexel, Missouri. Now in Ring 1, we have Class 11 March Spring Yearling Heifers. Well, congratulations over in ring 2. Results of Class 5. First place, back number 6010, Ellie Bowman, Lewis, Kentucky. Lewis, Kansas. Second place goes to back number 6015, Rumfeld's Miss Daphne E.T., exhibited by Carly Rumfeld, Phillipsburg, Missouri. Third place will go to back number 6022, exhibited by Lucky Cross Ranch, Atwood, Kansas. Fourth place goes back number 6020, Emma Ann McDonald. Fifth place will go to back number 6011, exhibited by Cameron Nowak. Sixth place goes to back number 6013, Avon Moon. Seventh place in that class, back number 6021, Riley Hightower. Eighth place, back number 6106, Cannon Stoner. And ninth place in that class, back number 6017, Plus One Cattle Company. We're now going to bring in Class 4 and 5. We'll be selecting a champion reserve spring heifer calf.
Really nice pair of March heifers over here in your red ring. You know, not exactly the same kind, but boy, they're both awfully good kinds. The heifer I'm going to go ahead and start the class with, it's mostly through that front 1/3 of her body. She's so much more elegant about that head, particularly about that point of her shoulder and the angle that that shoulder is laid back in. You know, she's not the most monster-bodied, high-performing high-performing one in the world, but boy, she's so uniform in that body depth, so dead level from hooks to pins. And I also like her advantage off that hind leg. I think she sets that thing down squarer and truer as she goes away from you. Not that I'm taking away from the soundness of the second effort, because she's sure plenty sound enough. I just think this one's a little truer and a little more athletic and authoritative in the way she handles that hind wheel. The heifer that comes in second here, obviously a little further bred. I guess to me where she comes up short, she's just a little bulkier up through that shoulder and that front end and that chest. I just like to peel a dab of chest out of her and lay that shoulder in a little bit smoother. But boy, that is an awesome bodied, big rib, big topped one that can flat get out and motor off that hind wheel. Just going to go out and make a tremendous, tremendous brood cow. Good pair of cattle. Look forward to seeing them back out here. You know, your decision in this class is 3, 4, and 5. You know, you could mix this up a little bit, but I think this heifer in 3 is just really honest. You know, she's fresh, she's lean, she's attractive in terms of her lines. She's one that can get around the ring and move. Yeah, I'd like to see her more opened up there in her heart and forerib, maybe power her up a touch, you know, but she has the least faults of the next 3. The heifer that comes out next, again, one that's green in her condition, very attractive up through that front end, bold sprung, deep ribbed one. You know, I wouldn't argue if you wanted to flop her over that 1 1/3, just because she is a little deeper centered and bolder sprung. But at the same time, she's not quite as good off that hind leg, you know, one that's not quite got as much shape down in the lower part of her quarter. Heifer that comes out next in the 5 hole, if you're into stout and moderate, you can go ahead and move her up into the 3rd hole. But to me, she's carrying a bit more condition. I'd just like to lean this one up, knock 2 or 3 tenths off this one, just to freshen her up. But you sure have to appreciate the power and the dimension and the soundness she possesses. The heifer that comes out next, again, super deep-bodied, easy doing, easy fleshing, low maintenance type of cow prospect. Just gets a little plain, a little bit more nag-legged as she goes off that hind wheel compared to the ones that go out in front of her, but certainly one that's going to go out and make a low-maintenance brood cow. Same can be said for the heifer that comes out next. You know, gets a little plainer. She's got a little navel underneath, maybe pushing a dab of chest. But this one's got a world of performance and length of body. Certainly acceptable in terms of soundness, and going to go out and make a nice brood cow for the young lady. Then the one that rounds out the class, you know, a female that's got some length and got some performance, just runs out of gas in the look department.
Congratulations, your champion spring heifer calf goes to back number 610, exhibited by Ellie Bowman of Lewis, Kansas. Reserve champion went to back number 6006, exhibited by Alexandria Rab of Markle, Indiana. Now in ring 2, we're going to bring in Class 7 winter heifer calves, born February 17th to February 28th, 2021.
Really, another nice foursome as we get out of here to select your spring yearling division. You know, we got 4 cattle. We do have some different kinds out here, but as you've watched me go along during the day, we have 4 sound cattle out here that are functional and do the most important things right. We do have a little variation in frame size, but that's okay. You know, we don't raise these things in boxes like chickens and pigs. You know, we need them for different parts of the country, and different frame score cattle will work in different places, so that's okay with me. With that being said, the heifer that comes out of the first class, she is the big framed out here, but she's a good big one. I mean, this one is up-headed. Her neck lays into the top of her shoulder really good. She still possesses uniform body depth. She's square from hooks to pins. You know, is she an ultra-powerful, wide-built one? No, she's not, but she's got enough. You know, in an ideal world, I'd like to fill her out in her britches just a touch, but that's an ultra-elegant, good-looking female that's sure in the thick of the battle out here. The heifer that comes out of the second class, just really good looking. I mean, this one is fresh in her condition. You know, she is one that's just uniform in that body depth. She's not ultra soupy bodied, but at times I've said I think that gets overrated. By virtue of making these cattle humongous bodied, I think we've also made them shorter bodied. This one is awesome from hooks to pins. She's level, she's long, she's square from hooks to pins, and she can really get around the ring and motor. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and stick with her for your champion. I'm gonna take one look at these other 2 for reserve.
Well, congratulations, your champion senior intermediate heifer, exhibited by Hadley Hartman, Tecumseh, Nebraska, with Miss Prompt Date 058H.
I think when you bring this second place heifer in, this gets really close. You know, obviously not peas in the pods and different qualities to hang your hat on. The second place heifer, boy, she's just so awesome, rib, bold, sprung, you know, just robust through that center body while still maintaining a good look and a flexible base. She's obviously long bred. You know, I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with this one, just a little more cow power.
And your reserve champion senior intermediate heifer goes to back number 40327 TCLE63H, exhibited by J.C. Stutzman of Milford, Nebraska. Next class in ring 1, class 12, February junior yearling heifers. Well, congratulations in Class 7. Over here in Ring 2, first place goes to back number 6014, exhibited by Butler Creek Farms in Milton, Tennessee. Second place goes to back number 6028, exhibited by Circle S Ranch of Canton, Kansas. Third place, back number 6029, exhibited by Hilltop Farms, Benny McWilliams. Fourth place went to back number 6023, exhibited by Circle S Ranch. And fifth place in that class, back number 6024, Plus One Cattle Company. Now in Ring 2 is Class 8 winter heifer calves born February 1st through February 16th. Attention to all of our exhibitors that are back there in the makeup area. We've just got word that we're leaning a little bit too hard on that fence. If we can back off that fence so we can make sure we don't knock the fence into the class, we'd greatly appreciate it. Well, congratulations in Class 8 over here in Ring 2. We have the results. First place goes to back number 6035, Miss Frontrunner 155J, exhibited by Gentry Warner. Second place went to back number 6034, TTTT Miss Annie E.T., exhibited by Hayden Tamer. Third place went to back number 6036, Miss Italia 104J, exhibited by Rochelle Anderson. And fourth place in that class goes to back number 6031, exhibited by Post Rock Cattle Company. We'll now bring in Class 9 winter heifer calves born January 1st to January 31st.
Really a good trio of cattle on top, and with that being said, when you really get in and sort them, I think this one comes there pretty quick. Boy, this is a good female right here. She's coming on close to calving, just so elegant up through that front end, lays in neat through her shoulder, just fresh as a daisy, square hip, the right kind of shape for me. You're not overly stout, but just the right kind of bone work, flatten her joint work, and she just eats. Not that the two behind her aren't sound enough, but this one eats them up on the move. She just floats and gets around the ring the way I like to see one go. Very good female. I guess to me, your decision is in 2 and 3. I opted for just a little more flank, a little more doability in this dark red heifer. She's a little more uniform in the way she goes from her forerib back to her flank. Super square and level from hooks to pins. You know, compared to the one behind her, she does have a little bit more chest. She's not quite as long and freaky necked as is the one behind her, but I like that about her. I think it's going to allow her to be the easier doing brood cow of the pair, and I do think she is a nickel sounder than the one that comes out behind her. The heifer that comes out in 3, boy, this one can give you some great looks. I mean, ultra well-presented, up-headed female, you know, bold sprung, you know, you read down her top, just a great shape to her. You sit in behind her, I mean, just as much power and dimension as any of these in here. When you set her in motion, I guess she struggles a bit for me. You know, she just gets a little too erect in that front end, gets a little bit outside of her stride as she goes away from you. But boy, what an awesome, awesome breeding piece. Just a great look to her. Just not sound enough to get around those two to meet today, but what a high-quality female. Heifer that comes out next, again, this one gives you a striking look. You know, when you first see this one and she comes in, you think she's going to be in the heat of the battle too. Ultra well-presented, good in terms of that body depth. You know, this one's hard to pick a hole in on at the stand. She's good-legged, she's up-headed, but when she gets in motion, that old girl, particularly that left front, is really, really pigeon-toed when she comes at you. We just like to lay that angler shoulder back, see her reach out with more authority, more aggression. Just make her sounder when she's coming at you mostly. But a really, really good fourth-place heifer in a powerful class. The heifer that comes out next, the same can be said. I'm sure this heifer's done plenty of winning on her own, just super big-bodied, good depth there. You get in behind her, she's got some shape, she's got as much performance as anything in the class. I guess compared to the ones that go out in front of her, she's a little shorter necked, a little thicker at the base of her neck, but more importantly, she just doesn't tie in as well right behind her shoulder as some of those others do that go out in front of her. Then the heifer that ends the class, she's a nice, moderate, big-bodied female, just ran into a heck of a buzzsaw of a class today to go ahead and get any higher.
Well, back over in your red Angus ring, we have the results of Class 12 February Junior Yearling Heifers. First place went to back number 40348, HH Drama Queen 0151, exhibited by Shayla Sankic of Magnolia, Ohio. Second place went to back number 40341, TLC Man Halftime Show 2001H, exhibited by Hey Chelsea, is that a misprint? Is it Hanslin or Jenslin? Class 12. It's Jens. Second place in that class was back number 40341, TLC Man Halftime Show, Jens Lind of Rushford, Minnesota. Third place in that class goes to back number 40349, exhibited by Hadley Hartman of Tecumseh, Nebraska. Fourth place went to back number 40340, exhibited by Riley Morris, Ash Grove, Missouri. Fifth place, exhibited by Avery Cavisto. In sixth place in that class, exhibited by Diamond L Genetics. Now in ring one, we have Class 13 January Junior Yearling Heifers. Back over in our Gelby ring, we have the results of Class 9 Winter Heifer Calves. First place exhibited by back number 6042, Lillian McCowan of Cleveland, Oklahoma. Second place, back number 6043, exhibited by Hilltop Farms. Third place, back number 6038, Sarah Carroll of Raymore, Missouri. Fourth place, back number 6041, exhibited by Carter Voss. And fifth place, back number 6040, Circle S Ranch. Now in ring two, we're selecting your champion reserve, Winter Heifer Calves.
Another nice group out here in your junior yearling division. A dark red heifer is going to go ahead and win the class. No, she's not the biggest or the longest one out here, but she's just the best. You know, I like the way this one's neck comes out of the top of her shoulder. Nicely presented female. She's bolt sprung. She's deep ribbed. She's ample in terms of shape, and she gets around on a relatively flexible base. Would I like to lengthen her out? Absolutely, but still an easy class winner. Heifer that comes in the two-hole, I love this one's body shape, just so uniform from forerib back to flank. One that's got a great big bone work. I love the way she comes off that hind wheel. You know, if I'm going to change this one, I'm going to clean her up through her chest, maybe clean her up through the base of her neck just a bit. She gets just a touch outside of her stride as she goes away from me, but a really good, massive, powerful female that's going to raise some herd bulls. Female that comes out in the third hole, wouldn't argue with her if you wanted to slide her a slot. You know, she gets out a little square inch to her off that hind wheel. I like the udder she's got coming down underneath. She's obviously getting long bred here. Got a good teat size, attractive through that front end. To me, maybe gets a little straighter front and a little bolder in that shoulder compared to some that go out in front of her. But a good, productive type female. Would like to tone down that tail head a little bit, but I know she's getting close to calving, and that tends to pull on that loin. Young man coming out next has a nice fresh appearing heifer, really attractive front end, lays in neat through her shoulder. You know, gets a little weaker in that loin, a little higher in that tail head. Might like to see that one get just uttering up a little more compared to these others, but a good type of female. Then the one that rounds out the class, appreciate the moderation, appreciate the doability. You know, this one possesses, as you get in behind her, this one, you know, she's pushing a little bit of extra grease, you know, and when you get in behind her, really wanting to get outside of that track. As I've said before, at my house, the cow paths are only about, you know, 8 or 10 inches wide, and I think that is at everybody else's house. So just getting a little too much internal fat there, need to lean her up a bit.
Well, congratulations, Class 13 January Junior Yearlings. First place in the red Angus ring goes to back number 40355, KJHT Rich Girl 0021, exhibited by Hannah Taylor. Second place, back number 40360, exhibited by Mackenzie Mawson. Third place went to back number 40359, Zachary Griffith, Marietta, Oklahoma. Fourth place, exhibited by Grayson McMurphy. And fifth, exhibited by Jake Hudson. We'll now bring in those first and seconds. Select Champion Reserve Junior Heifer over here on the red Angus ring. Well, congratulations, your champion winter heifer calf over in our Gelby ring goes to back number 6042, Butler's Miss Jolene, 283J, exhibited by Lillian McCowan of Cleveland, Oklahoma.
Back here over in the red ring, we really have a good foursome out here of bred cattle that are getting ready to go into production. You know, both our class winners out here are outstanding. There's one out here that's just kind of lighting me up out here. She's going to go ahead and be your division winner. Very, very good female. Let's walk these two just one circle.
In our reserve division over here in the Gelby side, reserve in that division goes to back number 6014, Butler's Miss Jewel 908J, exhibited by Butler Creek Farms of Milton, Tennessee. Now in ring 2, we will look to see your first class in the next division, class 11, senior heifer calves, born November 1st to December 31st, 2020.
I think our real decision is out here for reserve division. We got two dark red heifers out here that are both very, very good. We have some differences. The heifer that comes out of the first class, the more massive bodied female of the pair, the higher performing female of the pair, so good in her balance of just from forerib back to flank in terms of that uniformity of body depth. You know, I discussed this showing. We would like to see her a touch longer bred. You know, she's good enough on the move, not quite as flexible as the one behind. The heifer that comes out of the second class, as we said in class, I'd like to make her a nickel longer. But as you study this one getting around the ring, I mean, this is one of the good-footed, flexible, loose pastern, agile ones we've seen all day. I think she's really good-headed. I think she's really good at the point of her shoulder. I'd like to make her a rib longer, but I still think when you put totals together, I think that's the better female of the pair. Congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations, reserve in that division, going to back number 40355, exhibited by Hannah Taylor of Tennyson, Indiana. Now we'll see class 14 winter yearling heifers. Well, congratulations in Class 11. First place goes to back number 6044, exhibited by Molly Anderson of Marion, North Carolina. Now coming in ring 2 will be Class 12 senior heifer calves, born September 1st to October 31st. Attention to all of our exhibitors and spectators. If you have a vehicle that is parked on the west end of barn 9 or around the night pens, you do need to move it immediately. If you have a vehicle around the west end of barn 9 or the night pens, you do need to move it immediately. Thank you so much.
Back over here in the Reds, as we get into the senior yearling division, I think we got a good place to start here. Female that's already in production, got a dandy looking at her underneath. I like her teat size, and to me, she looks like she may have already outproduced herself. That's a really good looking heifer calf, maybe going to have a little more performance and a little more shape to her than her mom does, and that's what it's all about, going out as a 2-year-old and doing her job. Good female to start the class. The female that's second in class, I like a great deal. Unfortunately, she's obviously not as long bred. That one's already calved, but we'd like to see her just with a little more udder because that's a fantastic female. Boy, she is up-headed and lays in neat through her shoulder. She's bold sprung. You know, maybe when she goes away from you, you just like to see her travel a touch squarer from hock to ground, but that's one that's got a world of quality, a world of good in her. The female that comes in third, I do appreciate her being a little longer bred than the one that goes out in front of her, but she just gets a little more generic in her build compared to the two that go out in front of her. Just a little plainer, a little crestier up through that neck, if you will, but one that's moderate, deep-bodied, and going to go out and make a productive brood cow. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, certainly another good female in her own right, got some substance, got some power, got some dimension, but to me, I'd like to just see her track down a little more fluid and athletic off that hind wheel, gets a little roachy in the center of her back.
Well, congratulations over in your red Angus ring. We have the results of Class 14. Your champion senior female was back number 40369, 5RR plush 182G, exhibited by Maddie Jenkins of Athens, Texas. Second place in reserve division went to back number 40365, exhibited by James Tripp of Narden, Oklahoma. Third place, exhibited by Alyssa Worthington. And fourth place was exhibited by Dade DeLozier. We're now going to bring in Class 16 2-year-old cow-calf pairs. Back over in the Galvey ring, we have the results of your Division 4 senior heifer calf champion went to back number 6046, exhibited by Carly Rumfelt, Phillipsburg, Missouri, and reserve champion went to back number 6048, Evelyn Gelbreth of Oronongo, Missouri. We're now going to bring in Class 14 intermediate heifers, born May 1st through August 31st, 2020. Currently in Ring 1, we are selecting your Grand Champion cow-calf. Class 16 first place went to Maddie Jenkins, and Class 17 first place went to Rhett Tripp.
Really a good pair out here. This is going to be for your grand champion in the cow-calf division. We have a fall calving first calf heifer, and we have a spring calving or a springborn first calf heifer. And I think both very quality cattle. But when you really get in and start analyzing these cattle, the heifer the cow that's up front, just so much smoother. I locate the udder first thing because we're in cow production. I think she's higher and wider and tighter in that rear udder attachment. I think she's smoother in the fore udder attachment, and I think she's better in terms of her teat size. When you couple that with the fact that she's the more attractive, sounder, better-looking cow with a stud little bull calf, this is going to be your champion. Another really nice pair here behind him, just young bull calf, cow that's really productive, big-bodied. It certainly has a lot of milk. Would like to tidy that udder up just a touch, but a really good representative to go ahead and be a reserve cow-calf pair.
Well, at this time over here in Ring 1, we're going to bring in all of your division champion and reserves. so we can select a grand and reserve grand champion Red Angus female here at the Cattlemen's Congress. We are going to bring our reserve champion division winners in first.
He went behind the curtains.
Well, at this time, we're going to introduce to you all of our reserve division winners here in your National Red Angus Female Show. Coming in out of your first division, reserve champion, back number 40120, MHG Barcelona 107J, exhibited by Morley Griffith of Shawnee, Oklahoma. Coming in out of your next division, reserve champion, back number 40195, Duff Dixie Erica 19862137, exhibited by Kendall Sadler of Perkins, Oklahoma. Your next reserve division. Who's reserve in this division? The fall.
Here at the Angus side, quick, I'm going to start off. This is a give and take class for me. This female I'm going to start off with, I really prefer this female on the move. Her head and chest is a little out there for me.
Well, hang on.
A little more refined, a little more maternal looking, but from the point of that shoulder back, I really prefer
Okay,
this
so
female.
I've got
She's big body, she's balanced, she's big footed, she's big
not
bone,
fall.
there's plenty of product
I need,
behind her.
yeah, fall heifer calf. Who is that?
She'll worry about it. Just like the tone down her head.
Like class 6, class 7, class 8. Class 6 and class 7. Right here, I think it was this one. Zachary Griffith.
Still has some chest in her. Big old barrel on this female, a lot of body. But when you get her emotion, she's just too rigid on her top. Wants to break into that one. Just doesn't travel straight easy off either end. This is the going to win the class. She's just a little straighter fronted. Nice pair of females. A lot of differences.
Back over on your Red Angus side, reserve, coming out of your fall heifer calf division, reserve champion went to back number 4028117KZG Harlow, H807, exhibited by Zachary Griffith, Marietta, Oklahoma. Reserve champion in the following division was Miss J. Key Martha Devine, H501, exhibited by Hunter Jones of Moundsville, Missouri. Your next reserve division, coming out of our senior intermediate heifer division, reserve champion went to TCLE 63H, exhibited by J.C. Stutzman of Milford, Nebraska. Reserve junior heifer coming to you out of Class 13, back number 40355, KJHT Rich Girl 0021, exhibited by Hannah Taylor of Tennyson, Indiana. Reserve senior female was back number 40365, DDAD Olivia, exhibited by James Tripp, Nardin, Oklahoma. And your reserve champion cow-calf was exhibited by Rhett Tripp, Nardin, Oklahoma, with DDAD Blockana Pride. Now entering ring one, we have all of your champion divisions in our National Red Angus show. Coming out of your spring heifer calf division, champion was back number 40170, LCC Sita Catalina 001, exhibited by Sydney Sanders of Leesburg, Ohio. Coming out of your junior heifer calf division, champion was exhibited by Luke Borkland, Henning, Minnesota, with BJF Sita 1049J. Champion in the following division was TW Candace 062H, exhibited by Arden Kildo of Bellevue, North Carolina. Coming in out of your intermediate heifer division, champion went to DKBF Priscilla 415H, exhibited by Baxter Aiden Blair of McLean, Saskatchewan. Your champion senior intermediate heifer went to Miss Prom Date 058H, exhibited by Hadley Hartman, Tecumseh, Nebraska. Champion junior heifer, HH Drama Queen 0151, exhibited by Shayla Sankic of Magnolia, Ohio. Champion senior female, Maddie Jenkins, Athens, Texas, with 5RR Plush 182G. And your champion cow-calf pair, Red Northline KF Promise, Maddie Jenkins, Athens, Texas. For those of you sitting ringside, please join me in putting your hands together for all our Red Angus exhibitors here at the National Red Angus Female Show, Cattlemen's Congress. At this time, over here in your Red Angus ring, while our judge, Mr. Randy Mullinex, is evaluating his division champion reserves, we'd like to introduce to you your Red Angus Herdsman of the Year, Ben Ladone. Ben Ladone, West Hope, North Dakota, was selected the 2022 Red Angus Herdsman of the Year at the National Red Angus Open Show during the Cattlemen's Congress in Oklahoma City. Ladone was very involved in his family's ranch early on in his life. As a teenager, he took his younger siblings to livestock shows around the country and invested many hours studying cattle and herd sires that would improve his family's operation. He attended North Dakota State University in Fargo, North Dakota, where he was active in the saddle and sirloin and won overall showman in the Little Eye. After graduation, he returned to the L83 Ranch Ladone Cattle Company, where he was founded by Ben's grandparents, Leonard and Betty, and eventually became herdsman and manager. L83 Ranch holds an annual production sale and has produced and shown numerous state and national champions. For those of you sitting ringside, please join me in congratulating Mr. Ben Ladone as Red Angus Herdsman of the Year. Also at this time at the Red Angus Show, we'd like to introduce to you your premier breeder, TC Reds, Ringgold, Wisconsin. And your premier exhibitor, Mr. Brett Pembroke, Fairview, Oklahoma. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Currently over in Ring 2, we are now bringing in all of your champion and reserves out of our divisions here in your Purebred Galvey show.
All right, this is what we've been waiting for here. I'll tell you what, this is a powerful lineup here. You know, I've had a lot of fun out here. It's been my honor and privilege to sort through these Red Angus cattle for 2 days. I have the greatest respect for this breed, for all cattle breeders, but within this breed, the British breed cattle, you know, we judge, not to pick on some of these other breeds that, you know, have developed, you know, whatever they have out of their purebreds, but these Red Angus have improved so much from dealing with this much genetics. It's not like we're drawing from this breed or that breed, you know, to make our hybrids. We're developing from the Red Angus. You know, maybe you got a red carrier somewhere that you're incorporating, but the distance this breed of cattle has came in the last decade is absolutely incredible. You know, I'm not going to tell a lot of stories, but I'll leave you with a little one. You know, I grew up in Maryland, and I remember I was probably 10 years old. I'd always, you know, we'd go out the morning from doing chores to store, grab a soda, or do something, and we went by this pasture. This old boy, he had Red Angus cows. You know, they weren't registered. And I'd always drive by those things. I'd say, boy, those are nice cows. You know, and this was the 80s. I mean, my dad would always say, they're not big enough framed. And, you know, we bred everything good out of our cattle in the 80s. You know, we made them big. We made them we took the muscle out of them. We took the milk out of them. And I kept driving by these Red Angus cows thinking, boy, they're pretty good. You know, I didn't know any better. I was 10 years old. And one day I saw this old guy at the store. Everybody made fun of me because, I mean, he wasn't a cattleman. You know, the cows would wean their own calves when they had the next one, but they were always easy doing. And I asked this old boy one day, I said, why you got those Red Angus cows? I said, I kind of like them. And he says to me, with about the one tooth in his head, he says, you know, they don't ever eat nothing and they stay the same. And he might have only had one tooth in his head, but he said a mouthful, you know, because these cattle are legit, they're real, you know, they're easy doing, and they're going to function in the real world, and they're a serious cog in the beef business. Once again, it's been my honor and privilege. I'm not going to talk these cattle again. There's one heifer out here that stuck out like a sore thumb. I think she's flat awesome. I think she's going to make a tremendous cow, and I think she does so many things so well. Congratulations, young lady. This is your national champion.
Well, congratulations. Your grand champion heifer here at the National Red Angus Show goes to back number 40348. HH Drama Queen 0151, Shayla Sankic, Magnolia, Ohio. And your reserve champion here at the National Red Angus Show goes to back number 40170, LCC seeded Catalina 001, Sydney Sanders, Leesburg, Ohio. Once again, congratulations to all of our Red Angus exhibitors. A special thank you to our judge today, Mr. Randy Mullenix, Toulon, Illinois. We will now be doing group